I must protect the wild. Victory or death!
Alright, we got Barnes. I could have considered keeping the Blood Razor for Aggro Druid. I probably should have done that. But I see Druid, I think big minions. I don't even really know what Druid decks are popular now. The last one I played against was one with like Oaken summons and stuff. Not too worried about that deck, to be honest. Looks like it is Aggro Druid. I'm gonna miss that Blood Razor. It's cool though. I'll just Barnes into Yashiraj into Lich King. No big deal. Oh, found the Blood Razor. Wonder if I play that instead of Barnes next turn. It actually doesn't look very good into this board, so probably not. That's a Barnes. Show me Yashiraj. Awakens. Damn it. Probably just play Brawl here. It's a lot of stuff, and it's two really big things. I guess I'll put damage on that, just in case it lives. It's kind of bad in the case where my Barnes lives, because I put 1 damage on it for no reason. But if my Barnes lives, I'm feeling good anyway. That was the best result for me. I think that was the only 1 health thing on his board. So now I can play Blood Razor, Execute, and it'll kill that guy. Looks like he's playing a buff though, probably. Blood Razor Execute's still good here. Okay, so I'm at 18. He's only showing 4. We've got a Blood Razor in play against 2 1 health guys. As long as he doesn't have living mana, I think this game is pretty winnable. No living mana, that's what I like to see. Wow. So Savage Roar looks really possible in his hand. I feel like you would play the +1/+1 buffs there with the Blood Razor on the board for sure. Maybe he's still playing Snow Flipper Penguins, you wouldn't play that into this board. I guess just like a Direwolf Alpha, maybe you wouldn't play into this board either. I think it's pretty likely one of those is a Savage Roar though. I mean, it doesn't really matter what any of those cards are, because I'm hitting him in the face playing an Emerald Drake and Hero Powering. Wow. Emerald Drake is scary. Must have drawn his second Savage Roar. Lots of aggro paladins running around. Man, I sure do enjoy drawing Barnes with this deck. Maybe not so much against this aggro list, though.
Put this apple on your head.
Gather your party's gonna be good at some point. Might be a while, though. So probably playing War Axe next turn, and then my turn 4 might have to be Hero Power, Coin, Reckless Flurry. Wow, Murlocs with Knife Juggler. Interesting. Well, you don't like to draw Yashiraj when you have Barnes in hand, that's for sure. Smack off that Divine Shield so it dies to a potential AoE next turn. The Reckless Flurry's not looking too good here. Whirlwind top deck is the absolute nuts. Man, this slows down my curve a lot. I might regret this, but I'm gonna take so much damage if I don't clear here. I can always play Barnes next turn, but my Barnes hits aren't very good now that Yashiraj is in my hand. I can still hit like Lich King into an AoE or Ysera into an AoE. Although Ysera's AoE is probably just gonna kill me.
Reporting for duty.
Well, that's one of the worst Barnes hits, so that's cool, I guess. Lich King into Death and Decay. That's not good.
Put this apple on your head.
Needs 3 juggles to the face. Needs 1 juggle to the face.
Reporting for duty.
Wow. I got my ass kicked that game.
You have my gratitude. Garrosh versus Uther. I will fight with honor. Victory or death.
Got the Barnes. That's all I really need. But I'd also like some AoE and some weapons. I'm just gonna slam one of those. I don't need the card draw, I need to just not die.
Reporting for duty.
Get that War Axe going. I don't know how that deck had no play on turn 3.
Out of my jungle.
I guess he's a control list that plays Firefly. Seems bad, but I'm not a control Paladin pro.
Tonight.
Time for Barnes. Okay. Get our Death Knight card. Death Grip is the worst one. Well, if he's a control deck, maybe I can steal his Tyrion or something. And buff Paladin. That makes sense, I guess, with the Stonehill and the Firefly. Need to figure out how to kill that. Slam, Sleep with the Fishes, I guess, works. Start with the Slam, Sleep if I have to. Bloodrazor, if I coin Bloodrazor, this goes in here, Bloodrazor trades into that. I don't really want to burn the coin though. So I'm just going to use Sleep with the Fishes. I want to be able to coin out this 8-drop next turn, or maybe one of these 10 drops on turn 9. Okay, that's not so bad. That's pretty bad. That's even worse. That's a good draw though. Laughing Sister's not good enough. Yep, I'm just gonna die to these worms. Wow, he's killing you, Sarah. Makes sense, I guess. I would have just died if he hit me in the face, though. Just go for shield block. Geosculptor's not doing much here. Cool. Got to kill one of those. I just need to stall next turn, and then I'm probably gonna have to coin out Deathwing, and then lose the game to a second Eldor Peacekeeper.
Reporting for duty.
Hero Power, Reckless Flurry, Blood Razor isn't even a clear. Lets me kill the worm though. I'm just gonna play the Yip. He only needs 4 damage. I've seen a True Silver. Maybe he spends the time killing my 8-drop. Okay, got that out of the way for the Deathwing. I hate to discard such a high value hand, but I also hate dying. Dying is pretty bad.
Let me think.
Wow, could have just set me to 1 there. I would have been real tempted to just set me to 1.
Reporting for duty. What now?
Well, I do believe this is a board clear. And then we'll just get the Death Rattle prepped. So now that I cleared his board, hopefully he commits a bunch of stuff here, and then I can just play Deathwing. Oh wow, I guess Yashiraj always pulls a taunt here. So if he only plays like one thing, I can just play Yashiraj.
May my ancestors watch over.
Winter is here.
I don't believe that thing has Wind Fury. Doesn't really tell me if it does. I don't see the swirlies on it though. So Yashiraj into taunt looks safe. Okay. It's not very clean though. He has to send a lot of stuff into it. Gonna Chillblade champion my face. Rude. So Yashiraj pulls another taunt, which is good. So I think I'm gonna hit my weapon in here, go down to 5, armor up to 7, shield slam this, play Laughing Sister, play Death Grip, and let Yashiraj pull Lich King. Start with this, Serenite Chain Gang. I want more taunts if he has an equality combo. So I'll just let Lich King do his work this turn. If he doesn't have a way to clear this board, he probably just dies anyway, but then if he does clear, I have the Serenite Chain Gang to not die to weapons.
The light dims, but we fight.
Reporting for duty.
Wasn't it better to play Leroy first and then guarantee the buff on the Righteous Protector?
The victory is yours.
That would have kept him alive, wouldn't it? Potentially, at least. I mean, I think I would have got there with Sleep with the Fishes.
Garrosh versus Anduin.
The light shall bring victory.
Victory or death.
Probably don't really... well, I've seen some more aggressive priest lists recently. I'll hold on to a War Axe, even though those lists probably aren't as popular as the others. Let's go for a shield block here. It doesn't look like I will necessarily be needing a weapon next turn, and maybe I want Blood Razor instead of Fiery War Axe. It's really starting to seem like he's Big Priest, which I think is probably a bad matchup for me. Hopefully no Barnes. Okay, he's just Highlander with a bad draw. Usually they have their loot hoarders or whatever in the early turns. Go ahead and smack that with a War Axe, get some more armor. I'd really like to draw one of my Gather Your Party spells. Even Barnes would be pretty good here. I think waiting until turn 8 for Woecleaver and doing nothing between now and then is probably a death sentence. Let's just go ahead and shield slam this guy, I guess. Keep stacking that armor. If he doesn't have some kind of ooze, this Woecleaver is going to get multiple smacks in, and Geosculptor Yip is probably going to hit the board. So all this armor is pretty valuable. At least in theory. Jeez. Do I want to just play Reckless Flurry here? I am a pretty big fan of this armor. I'm not really a big fan of his board, though. Oh, I probably should have hit him in the face with the weapon. I think it's very unlikely that I'm not playing Woecleaver next turn. So a weapon to the face was probably in order. Let's go ahead and smack down the Loot Hoarder. I think Yashiraj is probably the worst one here, actually, and of course that's what I hit. And it was bad because it often pulled a thing that also died to Shadow Reaper Anduin, but I guess pulling a 4/8 makes Yashiraj a pretty good pull. He probably has to play Anduin here if he has it, and then I can just keep swinging away with my Woecleaver, play Sarah next turn. It is kind of bad if he has Psychic Scream because my weapon only has so many charges, but the weapon is pretty decent against Psychic Scream. God, that card is so strong. I feel like maybe that wasn't the order. I'm actually kind of happy he silenced the Yashiraj. I don't really want to be pulling anything else out into a board clear here. Got my clear if I do it like this, though. Nice, another thing that does not die to Anduin. It's really all I could ask for. So if he plays Anduin, I can just push a lot of damage, play a Deathwing. That's pretty good. If he plays Psychic Scream, I can play Ysera and still pull a minion out of the deck. I think I'm in a pretty good spot against most of his AoE here. Sure.
I hope you like my invention.
You have been.
Woecleaver putting in work. I spent a lot of time talking about this deck in part 1 yesterday, so I'll try to make the wrap up quick. I'll start off with the win rate. I went 21 and 19 with the deck, which is just over 50%. I started out really strong. I think I was like 12 and 6 if I remember correctly, but then I went on a huge loss streak and I eventually evened out. The deck that was actually giving me the most trouble is this Control Warlock deck that plays like Doomguard, Carnivorous Cube, and Dark Pact, and it can deal like 25 damage in one turn with Spirit Singer Umbra. I think I saw the deck was credited to Tice. I don't really know why it was giving me so much trouble. I guess because they always had their Possessed Lackey on turn 5, so they also got to play big stuff. But then they had massive burst damage and I didn't, so I guess that was the issue. I also had a problem with just dying to aggro, and that's because as a control warrior, you don't really have any plays for the first few turns. Once you get up to like Barnes and gather your party, you can start doing some really powerful things. But in the first like 3 turns when the opponent's playing pirates and alley cats and all that kind of garbage, you just often don't have much that you can really do. So you kind of just have to armor up and hope you can survive until you start playing big stuff. But a lot of times, even if you play Barnes on 4 and get a good hit, they're just going to kill you with their swarm of like 5 minions that are on the board already for some reason. And I'm not really sure what to do about that aggro weakness. Maybe you could try a card like Blood to Ichor, but Blood to Ichor, it's not exactly good when you're just killing a 1/1 with it. but in theory it's a pretty solid early game card. I've even considered playing like Cleave, or maybe even Heroic Strike, just to be able to kill some things in the early turns, but I think these cards are just a little bit weak. I think you kind of just have to live with the fact that sometimes aggro is going to kill you, because now that Fiery War Axe costs 3 mana, there's just not a whole lot you can do in the early turns. But once you start playing your powerful stuff, you do tend to win games. Unfortunately, all the aggro decks right now, and actually just all the decks right now, are playing 2 copies of Corridor Creeper, so even if you hit like a sick Gather Your Party into Ysera, you play like 9 mana worth of stuff on turn 6, they can also just play 2 0-mana 5/5s, and whatever else they're doing with the rest of their mana, so they can also have like a 9-10 mana turn on turn 6. But if you can cheat out a couple big things, or if they have just like one little misstep in the mid game and you get your big 9 drop out, then you can really start to crush the opponent. I think if I was going to keep playing this deck, I would cut Geosculptor Yip. The problem is, if you cheated that with Barnes, you often just don't have the armor for it to be any better than a Snowflipper Penguin. And even if you pull it out with Gather Your Party, sometimes you have the same problem. And like I've been saying, the issue with this deck is that sometimes you just die. So I think I would cut this for another copy of Primordial Drake if I was going to keep playing the deck. You can also play Sleepy Dragon if you really wanted to. It doesn't have the battle cry of Primordial Drake, and you can't hero power execute Sleep with the Fishes or whatever in the same turn, but it is bigger. I think I do prefer the battle cry on Primordial Drake to the 4 health on this guy though. Other than that, I'm not really sure what can be done to make the deck more consistent. Maybe you could cut one of the big threats to play, I don't know, like one of those Blood to Ichors we were talking about earlier. If I was going to cut one of the big threats, it would probably be normal Deathwing. Kind of hard to find a spot to play him, and he's the worst Barnes target in the deck, so maybe cutting a Deathwing for something like that could be pretty strong. Or honestly, maybe you could even try to work a copy of Upgrade into the deck. It's like a reasonable turn 1 play, it kills patches and a lot of other things in the metagame, and you can also use it to upgrade your Woecleaver. But I'm not sure how often you're actually going to get 4 uses out of the Woecleaver. But cutting like Deathwing for upgrade could be kind of interesting. Although if you're cutting a threat, then the upgrade on the Woecleaver is even less consistent. But I don't know, maybe try out an upgrade if you really want to play this deck and you're getting farmed by aggro. Anyway, I was able to maintain just above 50% with the deck, and considering that those stats included some versions of the deck that I don't think were very good, it seems like maybe some version of Big Warrior is reasonable to play in this metagame.